Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of this country that you're in. You're watching Rebel Roundup. We've got a little bit of a late start today. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid, and I'm joined today by a fill-in co-host for my friend Lise Merle, who's off gallivanting with her children across the prairies today, Tamara Lich. Tamara, how's it going?
It's going. Oh my gosh. I was like, we got so much to talk about today. I can't believe it. It's been going to be quite the news show. Going to be a good show.
It's going to be a great show. It's a real packed pierogi of a show today. And if you want to see Tamara Lich in person, as much as I enjoy seeing her in person, might I suggest if you are in and around Southern Alberta this Saturday, head on over to albertas-choice.com. That's my third-party advertiser in the campaign for a referendum on independence, and you'll find locations where we are dropping off our signs. So if you want a sign, you can go on that website, identify yourself as someone who wants a sign so we know how many signs to bring. We're in Okotoks and then Lethbridge, and we're finishing off the day in Medicine Hat, and Tamara's with us. So do come out to see us. And again, the times are available on the Alberta's Choice website, and that's albertas-choice.com website. albertaschoice.com isn't me. Nice website, not Sheila. So anyways, I'll
It's going
tell
to be a
everybody,
fun day.
it's going to be a great day. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Bring in the trailer. So I'm very excited. I'm making a weekend out of it. If people want to get involved in the show, I'll tell you exactly how you can do that. If you're watching us on Rumble, that's an excellent free speech platform. You can leave a Rumble rant over there. That's their paid chat. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, it's obligatory that we're reading it on air. If it's under that, we'll do our very best to get to it, time permitting. Same rules apply over on YouTube. Their paid chat is called a super chat. If you miss the live version of the show, there's an additional way that you can support us, and that's by way of a paid comment called a super thanks. I was like, is there smoke in my office? No, it's just my boiling hot coffee steaming past my microphone. So those are the rules of the show. Let's get into the news. One of my personal political muses is back in the news. It's Charles Adler, former broadcaster from Manitoba. He used to be known as Uncle Chuck back in the day when he was a conservative. I don't think he's anything ever. I don't think he's a liberal. I don't think he's a conservative. He's just doing whatever it takes to pay the bills. You know, he used to have a radio show over at Chorus. Chorus is a penny stock. And I think Charles Adler at one point was looking at his financial future and saying, I'm not going to have a job for much longer over at Chorus as their share price continues to hit the basement. And so he rebranded himself as one of the most vicious anti-conservatives out there. And you know what that means? That's right, Senate appointment. So this guy
Naturally, as you do.
As you do. So now he's got basically a job till the end of his days.
Yep.
And he, I mean, he's somebody, by the way, who railed against the unelected Senate and the patronage appointments of the unelected Senate. And yet, when somebody offered him a Senate appointment, he was like, yep, take me.
Yep.
And so all you really have to do to be a senator is shut your mouth and follow the rules. But that's not Charles Adler. This story today from Blacklocks. Vulgar posts challenge code is how the headline reads over at Blacklocks. Of course, every mouse in my office isn't working anymore. But the story is based on his vulgar posts, which may violate the Senate ethics code. So the code reads, or at least the ethics officer, Pierre Legault, wrote in a 2019 inquiry report, and that inquiry report was into a conservative's comments. And we'll get into what her comments were afterwards, because she ran afoul of the ethics code, but Charles Adler isn't. He's supposed to be nonpartisan. Okay.
Professional?
Right, you know, exactly. He's none of those things.
Yeah.
The report said, while senators should be entitled to have the broadest possible free speech permitted by their ethics code, this right does not entail that senators have an unlimited right to speak on every issue. Now, Mr. Independent Senator levels almost daily insults at Pierre Poilievre, and it's true. His X account is deranged. He called him a desperate loser, a dud, the worst bullshitter on the planet with sadistic tendencies. I'm just reading this verbatim. Nothing makes Mr. Poilievre enjoy life like seeing Canadian economic suffering. There's a word for this, sadism. Nobody likes a loser, Adler wrote 4 days ago. Somebody needs to tell him to go away. No wonder the Poilievre conservatives feel like they're trapped in a slaughterhouse. Who said that they feel that way, by the way? Can you be an anti-vax conspiracist and a conservative MP at the same time? He asked on July 9th. Does a bear wee-wee in the woods? Canadian riddle.
Wow.
How do you receive 10,000 obituaries without having to die? Become Pierre Poilievre. He tweeted on July 8th. Like, this is just the last week in July that he's been saying these things. Pathetic Republican wannabe, Mr. Sour Grapes, Canada's most negative person. I'm reading his X account and I'm like, who's Canada's most negative person? Some conservative, he describes conservative voters. Now, this goes beyond attacking conservative politicians. Politicians should have thick skin, whatever. But he describes conservative voters as imbeciles who are dumber than a bag of Fritos. Alberta separatism was the dumbest fecking idea ever. I like how he goes between like cutesy Ned Flanders swearing and then legitimate vicious swearing. Anyways, the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Code for Senators says a senator's conduct shall uphold the highest standards of dignity inherent to the position of senator, and they shall refrain from acting in any way that could reflect adversely on the position of senator in the Senate. A senator shall perform parliamentary functions with dignity, honor, and integrity. Now, the report that requires these things of senators was prompted by complaints against Senator Lynn Bayek of Ontario, who published my goodness, am I having a stroke? Constituency letters on her Senate website that were deemed offensive regarding Indian residential schools. And basically, she said, you know, maybe not everything that we're hearing is exactly true, or exactly proven is a better way of putting it. And for that, Lynn Bayek was sentenced to mandatory self-flagellations, a struggle session resulting in 2 separate apologies, and attending mandatory sensitivity training. Do you think Charles Adler is going to get any of that, Tamara?
Well, and of course she did, because she was going against the government narrative, whereas he's propping it up. I mean, this is the most unparliamentary, unprofessional behavior. But I mean, it's a symptom. We've got a video of the former prime minister bouncing around in a Katy Perry video, and gross. Charles Adler is sitting in the Canadian Senate. I mean, if these are not symptoms of a bigger, wider problem going on in this country, then I don't know what is.
You know what, Olivia, I'll give you a little mission right now. I think it's somewhere in the company Slack. You know what? No, I know where it is. I'm going to share it with you. And just so you know that this comes from the top. He was, of course, appointed by, I'm going to send this to you, Olivia,
Trudeau,
right now.
I think.
He was appointed by Trudeau, and there is...
to be a conservative influence, if I'm not mistaken. He was appointed by Justin Trudeau to be a conservative balance in the Senate.
So I'm just going to share this video from Dean Allison. Dean Allison, of course, is the conservative MP who's heading up the Allison inquiry into vaccine injuries. And I don't think we'll ever know the scope of people who are actually vaccine injured, because we know that there was such an underreporting of them. Doctors wouldn't take them. Doctors were scared. Even if you had a good doctor who was like, yeah, something happened to you in and around the time of the vaccine, but causation isn't correlation, wink, 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 wink. Those doctors would not report your vaccine injury to VISP, which is the vaccine injury reporting system, because they were scared. A lot of doctors who were saying, you know, like, maybe you shouldn't take this, they were getting in trouble. But the viciousness against people who simply think differently than you on matters of public policy or health policy, that attitude came directly from the top. And I noticed today that Dean Allison has compiled a list of the things in video format that Justin Trudeau called regular Canadian conservative voters. So it should come as no shock to anybody that this is what a Trudeau-appointed senator calls people. Do you want to show that? Let's take a walk down memory lane, shall we?
Yes.
If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
The people who choose not to get vaccinated don't get to get on a plane or a train, don't get to work in the public service, don't get to, you know, by working with the provinces on vaccine certifications and mandates, don't get to go to movie theaters or gyms or restaurants.
Qui ne croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on...
Do we tolerate
So yes, even at the risk of knowing that people thought I might be waving at those anti-vaxxers who I was basically ignoring, because I won't respond to anger with anger.
Not your own citizens.
Just
You mean your own
them.
citizens?
Yeah. Those are his own citizens, our fellow Canadians that he was talking about that way. That stuff radicalized people. When you heard him calling you those things about calling you those things or calling your friends and neighbors those things for simply making a personal choice. And now we have a Trudeau appointed senator calling people imbeciles, dumber than a bag of Fritos, whatever that means. Like that, who says stuff like that just because they vote a different way? In fact, they vote a way that Charles Adler himself used to vote.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the problem, Sheila, and I said this way back in those days too. You know, leaders are supposed to lead by example. And if you're leading a country, you're obviously not going to agree with every single perspective or ideology or belief within that country, but you're responsible for leading all of them, caring for all of them, you know. And then you have the prime minister questioning whether a certain sect of people should be tolerated. Again, like, what does that even mean? I wish he would have finished that sentence. Because I would like to know what his alternative was for that. And now we have, you know, Charles Adler appointed to the Canadian Senate, which is supposed to be a prestigious, well, like you said, it's a patronage appointment, basically. But, you know, this is not leading by example. This is, I can't believe that he's not going to be fined or fired or something. I mean, he is also supposed to be representing Canada as a whole. It's embarrassing.
Right. I think back to that, and I remember saying at the time, Trudeau is supposed to be the prime minister for all Canadians and just not the ones that he agrees with. And we have an alternative here in Alberta where we have Premier Smith, who has now openly said she disagrees with the separatist movement, but she will not demonize them. She will not talk down to them. And so there's a way to thread that needle where you can say, like, look, these people have legitimate grievances. I don't necessarily agree with how they're handling it or what they're doing about it, but these are also our fellow Albertans. And in fact, she said that. These are our fellow Albertans, and we will not delegitimize their very valid grievances by demonizing them. Why couldn't Trudeau do that? Like, you could see very clearly that Premier Smith she tries her very best to be the premier for all Albertans, like her or not. Trudeau never did that, not even once.
No, didn't even pretend. He could not even pretend to like somebody else that didn't align with him.
No,
100%. And again, I mean, you know, I can't help but look at the video of him bopping around in that video, thinking to myself, you know, this man told you that you couldn't get on a plane, a train, or go to work, or couldn't kiss your parents or your dying grandmother, and you believed him. I mean, look at this clown.
Right now,
I mean, people followed his advice. Now he's Katy Perry's boy toy.
B-roll. B-roll in her TikToks. You know, the world would have been a much better place if this is where he started and finished.
Yeah. Like this is his entire prime ministership in like a 1-second clip.
Yeah.
Just bouncing around, just getting from one end to the other.
When he did this on his trip to India, they came back with canola and pulse tariffs. Like when he bounced around through India.
That's right. Oh, right. I forgot about that.
I don't.
I haven't. I mean, he said Canadians shouldn't be tolerated. Look at him.
God. See, this is what he always should have done. He should have just been a debutante, a Hollywood weirdo, and the world would have been an increasingly better place if this is just where he ended up. This is clearly his passion, right? Yes. He just should have went there.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's move ahead. Myron Demkiw, that's the Toronto Police Service Chief, Myron Demkiw. I've had a lot of policy disagreements with this gentleman, but we have good Myron Demkiw and bad Myron Demkiw. We saw good Myron Demkiw yesterday when a Liberal reporter seems to infer that legal guns are the problem with the spate of gang-related shootings in Toronto over the weekend.
This city has a handgun crime problem. These are not licensed gun owners. We are not arresting people with firearms who are licensed gun owners. That is not happening in this city in any meaningful way.
You keep on mentioning illegal guns in the United States. What evidence do you have that this shooting, or any of the shootings that happened this weekend, involved illegal guns?
Well, the people, well, I'll take that question. In this city, we recover crime guns regularly, and the vast majority, 85 to 90% of them, when they can be traced, are traced to the United States of America. This city has a handgun crime problem. These are not licensed gun owners. We are not arresting people with firearms who are licensed gun owners. That is not happening in this city in any meaningful way.
Good for him. Wow. Myron Demkiw is usually a bit of a suck up to the Liberal government. I feel like he's always auditioning to be the next Bill Blair, who was the police chief in Toronto, and then he ended up as a Liberal MP, and then he was the gun grabber in chief there for a while. I'm happy to see Myron Demkiw answer this question when this Liberal reporter says, what evidence do you have that these were not legal guns? I don't know. The guys we arrested didn't have an RPAL. How's that? Yeah, exactly. You know, like when he points to the crime gun statistics, it is true. Those guns are being trafficked into Canada from the United States, largely across the border at the Six Nations Reserve. A lot of trafficking happens there with firearms. But I mean, his answer could have been simple. Yeah, when we threw the dirt bags in the cop car, or when we searched the guy's pocket after he was shot laying on a stretcher, we didn't find his RPAL, lady. She has no clue. She thinks that anybody can just walk into a gun store and buy a handgun and then just take it wherever you want. If handguns were being used, that by its very nature is illegal, because nobody can buy or sell a handgun anymore.
Yes. Well, it is actually quite refreshing to see him push back a little bit here. And like you said, I mean, again, because he's not just following the narrative, and that's exactly what she's trying to do, is just stick with the narrative that all guns are bad. So credit where credit is due. It's good to see him stand up and push back against that.
Yeah, it's I was shocked when I saw that clip from the CCFR. I had to read it twice. I was like, it looks like Myron Demkiw. Is that Myron Demkiw saying something reasonable for once? It was. I was shocked. I want to talk about this story. Inky Mark.
My former MP.
Your former MP, Inky Mark. Although I did note that a lot of the news coverage, and I think CBC reflects this, former Manitoba MP Inky Mark charged with firearms trafficking after hundreds of weapons seized. An antique cannon, $300,000 in cash, also found at former Member of Parliament's home. So Mountie seized 439 firearms found inside Inky Mark's home in the western Manitoba city of Dauphin. during a July 7th search. They seized an antique cannon, ammunition, and more than $300,000 in currency. Now, I don't know what they're describing as currency. Is that cash? Is
Right.
it, and they say cash, but then they say currency later on. So, like, is
Right.
that silver coins?
Gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold bricks.
If it is, good for Enki. Like, good for him. But
Well, I reached out to some of the members of my community because I lived in that. I've lived in that riding a couple times actually, and back when Inky Mark was the member of Parliament, and he's a known gun collector. He actually used to
yeah,
own a World War II plane. So I don't want to comment too much. Obviously, we don't really know the details yet, but I'm going to wager a guess that they're probably more upset that he has all that cash that the government can't get their hands on than
yeah.
anything. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I definitely am going to wait for some more details before I jump to conclusions, which is kind of what these stories tend to do. I
Yeah.
mean, you have these other major stories coming out, like, for example, the one we just talked about, where there's all
Right.
these illegal handguns coming across the border, but they're going to focus on a 78-year-old gun collector.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny the framing in this. So
Yes.
I think Enki bought firearms that he probably didn't know were stolen. From what I can tell. And again, we don't have all the details, but charges were laid against Wilfred Kaczorowski, 73. This is a lot of old dudes doing this.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
Minnesota in March after a handgun was stolen at a gun show 2 days earlier. And so somehow that led them back to firearms at Inky's place. And then they said, we know he's a firearm collector, but that's really all we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
let's also contrast these two cases. I don't believe they've even released the suspect's description, let alone their name yet. But already, yesterday they had Inky's face splashed all over the front
Everywhere.
cover of every paper. So, I mean, that's highly unusual. Inky Mark has never murdered somebody. He's never shot at someone. But yet, we have this case in Toronto where we don't even have a suspect's name or description. I mean, it's a bit suspect to me.
Well, and the framing of this is quite something. So Inky Mark is a former MP who represented Dauphin Swan River, Neepawa from 1997 until he resigned in 2010. And it should be noted, he was highly critical of Stephen Harper, even though he was in the Reform Party, and then the Alliance, and then finally as a Conservative. And they said he ran unsuccessfully for the seat in 2015 as an independent. He was elected mayor of Dauphin in 1994, and he tried to run for mayor again in 2010. What they neglect in all of this is that most recently, Enki was a member of the Green Party, like since 2015, 2016.
Right.
He was a member of the Green Party. So, but that isn't relevant to attacking conservative firearms owners in this story.
Exactly.
So we can't include that.
So no mention of the Greens, of course. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I just feel, well, again, we got to wait for the details to come out, Sheila. But, here's a 78-year-old man, as somebody who is still going through the legal system. I feel bad for him. I mean, just to be starting all this now, especially with charges like these leveled against him.
Yeah.
They're pretty serious charges. As I heard in one of my bail hearings, one of the justices of the peace said I was going to serve as much time as if I would have had a firearms charge, which was 10 years in prison.
Right.
So.
Right. We don't know all the details. But Inky has been a long time collector of firearms and has repeatedly called for lax gun laws. And by lax, I mean fair.
Yes.
The mainstream media
fair,
will say
exactly.
lax.
They'll say lax, yeah.
Okay, let's move ahead. So far, this is from the Logic. So far, foreign-owned firms have dominated by Canadian contracts. So by like BY Canadian contracts. So the federal government was supposed to focus its procurement on Canadian companies, where it's all elbows up, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But that just hasn't been the case. The majority of the procurement in this country is still going to foreign companies. Now, I'm not sure I care as long as Canadians are getting the best bang for the buck. But that's also probably not the case, because if I had to guess, these are going to liberal linked firms all over the world, so that they can enrich themselves with the riches provided to them by the Canadian taxpayer. But these people can't even follow their own rules at this point. You know, we're supposed to be fighting with the Americans for some reason. I can't quite figure it out. But in the meantime, Americans are basically helping run the country thanks to our procurement policies, or lack of following the procurement policies.
Wow. Yeah. Elbows up, like you said.
Elbows up, guys.
Elbows up. Yep.
Going back to, you know, the crime in this country. This is from Tristan Hopper over at the National Post. Accused Toronto shooter. Which one?
That's right. Yeah,
sorry, which one? I'm gonna have to read more. Accused Toronto shooter was freed despite, excuse him, what? Torture conviction?
Just a little bit of torture.
Alleged gun smuggling indictment. This bodes well for our friend Inky Mark. Just,
yes,
Inky Mark's lawyers point to this and say, you know what? Inky's gonna need some bail, y'all. So he was one of 3 men who broke into a Montreal home, beating and torturing the victim until he surrendered $15,000 in cryptocurrency. A 25-year-old accused. Okay, so this is the nightclub shooting over the weekend, not the festival shooting over the weekend. He was accused of opening fire at a Toronto nightclub crowd before running over pedestrians in a stolen rideshare vehicle. He's been freed despite being arrested in a torture investigation last year.
Excuse me?
I was old enough to remember when your bail was revoked for infraction that didn't happen.
I can't even. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. That is, I mean, nothing surprises me anymore. But again, you know, being in the situation that I'm in when I see stuff like this, I mean, it just, what a state our country is in. You know, we didn't torture anyone. We didn't murder anyone. We didn't shoot anyone. We didn't have any stolen guns. And me and Chris are sitting on house arrest.
You're out there torturing people for $15K in cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency.
Stealing an Uber and running people over. That was their getaway car, by the way, after that shooting.
Yeah.
Let this answer that silly little mainstream media journalist's question to Chief Meyer and Demkew. He was out on conditions for torture and robbery. I'm going to guess there was a firearms prohibition in that condition. Jeez.
Good chance.
Yeah. Omar Abdul Singate, we talked about him yesterday, is facing 10 charges, including reckless discharge of a firearm in connection with a chaotic, that's one way of putting it, 3:30 a.m. shooting on the waterfront at Polson and Cherry Street. And so in the summer of 2024, Singate was one of 3 men who broke into the home of a Montreal area cryptocurrency entrepreneur, beating and torturing the victim until he surrendered $15K in cryptocurrency. Wow. He was beaten and tortured by his assailants for several hours, read an April 2025 statement by Montreal law enforcement soon after Singate's arrest for the crime. It added, after succeeding in obtaining from the victim the details required to enable a cryptocurrency transfer, the suspects fled. He pled guilty in May.
Wow. And he's still walking around.
He's still walking around. It's also been...
What's the guy got to do to get, you know, held on bail? Or
take a picture with your friends.
Prison?
Take a picture with your friends.
Exactly.
You know this one. You know this one. It's been just 7 months since Singate was named in a U.S. indictment regarding an alleged smuggling ring moving illegal guns into Canada. Why is this guy on the streets? Is he a Canadian citizen? Have we figured that out yet?
Yeah. Good call.
Extradite him to Florida, to the free state of Ron DeSantis. He was a member of
a weekend.
Yeah.
It hurt his feelings. It was hurt his feelings to get kicked out of Canada, Sheila. We don't hurt people's feelings here. That's the #1 crime in this country. Not torture.
This is the guy that
feelings.
Silly little mainstream media journalist pondered. How do you know that his gun wasn't legal? I don't know, sister. He was part of a 5-man smuggling ring that moved 100 illegal guns into Canada, including some to have been known to have been used in criminal activity. They trafficked and conspired to traffic more than 100 firearms from Florida to Canada in 2023 and 2024. Of those firearms, 1/3 were recovered from Canadian crime scenes, including homicides.
Wow.
His name was Debo, and so live. That's a crime right there. Throw him in jail for that.
Wow. Well, I guess that reporter missed that press conference.
Yeah. One of Singatay's new charges is possessing a firearm while prohibited, which usually refers to a breach of parole conditions. Just give him to Ron. Give him to Big Ron in Florida. Send him to Alligator Alcatraz.
That's right. I love Ron DeSantis.
Me too. That was one of, I think, the most consequential governor's races in American history, was Ron DeSantis barely winning Florida back when he barely won Florida. I think it was 2016. Changed the trajectory of the United States and COVID and everything else.
Thank goodness.
Yep.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Let's hit an ad break. We'll come back on the other side. It sounds like StatsCan is worried that we're being brainwashed.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms. They've preserved history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. While violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation, lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history. Save heritage. Save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's BYRNA.ca/rebel.
Canada's been told to just quit smoking for decades, same message over and over, and yet millions of Canadians still smoke. So let's ask a follow-up question. For those who don't quit, what about change? In 2026, Canada has options that didn't exist years ago. Smoke-free alternatives for adults who would otherwise continue smoking. That doesn't mean risk-free, it means informed choice. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. But for those who don't quit, change could still be part of the conversation. That's why Canadians should check out unsmoke.ca, an information resource focused on smoke-free alternatives and honest facts, not judgment. Put the lighter down, Canada. Learn what your options are.
You know, I love to see the boss encouraging people to get in their vitamin N. I really do. We got an ad read from our friends at Rumble Wallet. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own and control your money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks. So instead of a bank holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you're in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward to today, everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started still feels complicated. That's exactly why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all that complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me. So do this now. Scan the QR code. Is it there? There. I'm all turned around. There. And link the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. Before we move on, we've got a chat we can get to here too, and it's from our friend P. Schofield 10. He came to our Rebel News birthday party, and he's from Colorado, I think.
Wow.
Yes. Hearing Charles Adler shoot off his pie hole reminds me of the Mark Twain statement, better to keep your mouth shut or your mouth closed and be thought of as a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. Yeah.
Yes. Good point.
Yeah. He used to have the 8 o'clock show on Sun News Network.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, he was happy to take conservative money back then, wasn't he? Like I said, there's nothing he believes in other than just lining his pockets, and being a senator for life is a great way to do that, even if it means selling your soul. Let's go to let's hit this one first. CSIS warned about him for 2 decades, then a clean energy scientist, clean energy, government subsidized green scheme energy, allegedly copied thousands of files for Beijing on the eve of retirement. An Ontario judge who once defended Canada's most notorious accused spy has ordered CSIS and the PCO, so the Privy Council Office, to disclose sensitive records in the trial of Dennis Liu. It's nice to hear a judge actually doing something good instead of siding with the bad guy always. So this is from Sam Cooper over at the Bureau, who intensely covers foreign interference issues. A senior Natural Resources Canada scientist who court records say collaborated with Chinese counterparts on government energy research has been charged with breach of trust and unauthorized use of federal computers. An Ontario Superior Court judge has ordered Canada's national security agencies, including CSIS and the PCO, to disclose volumes of sensitive records in a high-profile foreign interference prosecution now heading to trial in Ottawa. So Natural Resources Canada cut Liu's access to its email and servers in June 2023 after he traveled to China and, while there, allegedly sent nearly 2,000 emails from his work account to his personal account. When Liu returned to Canada and asked why his access was blocked, a manager ordered it reinstated so his retirement could be processed. Weeks later, Liu allegedly copied more than 2,600 documents from a departmental shared server. So CSIS, oh my goodness.
Incredible.
CSIS briefed Natural Resources Canada on Dennis Liu no fewer than 3 times between 2000 and 2021. So he did this for 21 years. Yeah. Then he goes to China in 2023, just before he retires, and starts forwarding emails to himself. The department finally launched a covert internal investigation to monitor and search his computer, which is how they caught him sending those emails to himself.
That is an incredible story. And I don't really... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and this all ties into Mark Carney's re-engagement with China. The prosecution, focusing on the future of clean energy technology, lands in the midst of Prime Minister Mark Carney's sweeping engagement with China, in which both nations have pledged that Canada will become a major exporter of energy to the Chinese market.
Wow. I mean,
sounds like the lab controversy.
It does. I was just going to say that, or the former 11 sitting MPs that were being investigated for foreign interference that we still don't know who they were. Canada has a China problem, a foreign interference problem with the Chinese, and kudos to Sam Cooper. I can't even follow all of his stuff because there's volumes and volumes every day. There's so much stuff. So I only catch the Coles Notes versions, but an absolutely incredible story, especially knowing that they were briefed by CSIS 3 times. Now, I mean, what do you expect the outcome of this trial to be when we do have cases like the Winnipeg lab documents, the scientists that were there, the foreign interference allegations and claims? I mean, where do you see this trial leading, Sheila?
I'm not sure. For the first time, a judge is ordering the records turned over, which is completely in contrast to what happened with the Winnipeg lab. Now, the Winnipeg lab had Chinese scientists smuggling out viruses to the Wuhan Virology Institute. And one of those scientists worked directly with a woman known as the Bat Lady. Like, she was working on bat coronaviruses in the Wuhan Virology Institute, which is a military-linked bio lab, which the US government has deemed the source of COVID-19. In my conspiracy mind, I think COVID-19 was probably directly linked to the Winnipeg lab, which is why we'll never know.
I agree with that assessment. And I've always felt that way, especially with the amount of secrecy. And then remember, they were ordered to turn over the documents and the government refused. Like, you could just do that in Canada now. I mean, remember when Justin Trudeau was going to come to power and he said this is going to be the most transparent government of all time, but we have seen anything but in the last 11 years.
Yeah. I almost forgot about that. They were supposed to turn those records over to the House of Commons. They never did. Yep. Trudeau prorogued Parliament because of it, if I recall correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Conservatives tried to make a complaint to the RCMP, who were not all that interested. And and I think when you look at how deferential the Canadian government has been to the Chinese in spite of all the foreign interference, I think it has a lot to do with the Chinese know what came out of that lab in Winnipeg. And the Canadian government knows what came out of that lab in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a bad look for the Liberals to have allowed what might have been a precursor to COVID-19 to come out of a lab in Winnipeg, end up back in Wuhan, China, and then end up being unleashed upon the world, either accidentally or on purpose? I don't think it'd be a great look for the Liberals, which is why they're probably so deferential to China, who has that hanging over their heads.
Exactly. Yep.
Anyways,
exactly.
That's just my conspiracy theory, but it's rooted in fact. This next story is quite fascinating because I believe this. I'm in the 25% here. 25% of Canadians say StatsCan is not free of political influence. Now, I'm in the 25%, but not in the way that this is being reported by David Aiken of Global News. Nearly 20% of Canadians do not trust Statistics Canada to protect personal data the federal government agency collects, while 25% say they do not believe the agency operates free of political influence, according to internal government polling obtained by Global News. Among other findings, the polling showed that 62% of Canadians believe Statistics Canada data to be reliable, but 12.6% do not believe the agency's ability to get it right when it comes to data about the economy, society, and the environment. More than 1 in 5 or 23% are unsure either way. I believe this to be true, and that this agency has $1 billion to just collect data, and I wish it would do just that. But I'm working on a story right now where our crime statistics are going to be very wrong very quickly. Statistics Canada, for those of you who don't know, and I'll show you the internal emails in my story whenever it comes out very soon, they stopped recording the biological sex, so like real sex, of offenders. They collect the offender data based on how the person presents themselves, except in the case of homicide investigations. Then they collect identified gender versus reality sex. So they have the two reporting categories, but for none of the other ones, including sex offenses, they collect the sex identified by the offender. We're deferring to the offenders here. And this obscures offender data, right? All of a sudden, in the year of our Lord 2026, you're going to see a spike in women who are convicted of sex offenses against children and women who are convicted of violent crimes. When we know for time immemorial, and this plays out across jurisdictions all over the world, there are female offenders, but women offend differently than men. Men commit the majority of homicides, majority of violent crimes, majority of sex offenses, aggravated assaults, and robberies. That's just how it works. That's not to say that women don't offend. They just offend differently. We're poisoners, okay? We're white-collar criminals. So But that's going to change. And I found it kind of comical that they're like, well, we don't do it for all these other crimes except homicide. And it's like, well, if it matters for homicide, why doesn't it matter for sexual assault? Except if you're trying to obscure offender data for woke reasons. And you know what I would love to see, actually? I would love to see them collect both across all all modes of criminality. I want to see how many self-identified trans people are committing sex offenses versus women versus men. And then I would like to compare that as a proportion of the population so that we can craft public policy around that. I actually want more data, not less. And I don't want everything all mixed together, which is what they're currently doing. So yes, I'm of the 25% that believes that Stats Canada is infected by wokeism and we can't trust the data.
Yeah, well, 100%. And don't forget, the other repercussions of this is they're essentially rewriting history.
Yeah,
they're changing the facts. They're changing the facts going forward in these cases. So when people look back on this time, God forbid, decades from now, then they're going to have inaccurate information based on, well, this is just wokeism again and just DEI wokeism, right? So they're skewing the public record with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're going to future citizens are going to look back at the world and say, what happened in 2026 to make women so violent? And we're going to say nothing. Exactly. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. We were minding our own business. We're mischievous. Right. We don't do these things.
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to pick and choose the last few things on the board. I want to hit the one thing on the headline, and then we'll do some cringy things, a couple of cringy.
Okay.
I think we have 3 cringy things. Canadians face, this is quite a way of putting it, Global News, lifestyle shrinkflation as paychecks pinched. Sustained cost pressures meant that for many Canadians, a substantial chunk of their income is already spoken for before they receive their paycheck. Polling conducted by Ipsos for MNP shows 3 in 5 Canadians, 61%, say at least half their income is already committed to bills, debt, payments, and regular expenses before it arrives, while around 1/3 says most of their paycheck is already committed before it arrives. And they're describing this as lifestyle shrinkflation. This isn't lifestyle shrinkflation. Lifestyle shrinkflation is people cutting back on not their necessities, but their luxury items, their wish list, their events, their travel, their holidays, or their kids' activities. This is more than that. Well, this is people who are like, everything is gone before it gets in the bank account. This isn't lifestyle shrinkflation. This is people just treading water. Not.
Are you trying to tell me that the $38? Are you trying to tell me that the $38 grocery bonus or whatever, it didn't help with this?
Yeah. I skipped off to Louis Vuitton with it.
Yes, that's right. Wow. I mean, it's so true. I mean, but yet we have money to send to the Ukraine, more money to send to the Ukraine. Canadians are legitimately suffering. This is not a lifestyle shrinkflation. This is just paying your bills, paying your mortgage, buying groceries for your family, putting gasoline in your car. You know, like you said, it's not like they're skipping off to go to Paris, France.
Right. No, what they just said there is the majority of people, the money is spent before it even hits their bank account. That's not people skipping vacation or a facial. These are people who are just worried about how they're going to put gas in the minivan.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, global.
You wouldn't know that by the headline, though, would you?
No, that's why you always have to read the article. Global.
Gotta love global.
What I thought was Ottawa Carleton District School Board actually doing something right for once, because you have to remember they employed Neely Kaplan-Murth as a trustee.
Yes.
Okay. Earlier this month, maybe towards the end of the month of the last, they said they would not be participating in Pride celebrations. And it's obvious. The reason at the time was obvious. The largest religion represented in Ottawa Carleton District schools is Muslim, and they're socially conservative. And I've been waiting for that clash of cultures, standing on the sidelines, waiting for them to like for mutually assured destruction. You know, the Pride people facing off with the radical Islamists, and I'm just on the sidelines waiting to reclaim what's left of the country. But no, Ottawa Carleton District School Board first said that they weren't going to participate, and then, as you know, probably the weirdo teachers were like, no, we have to make sure that everybody knows we're gay. So they are now going to march again in Capital Pride. So they're back at her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
Reverse their decision.
Yeah. I'm really glad that folks involved with the OCDSB, whether the students, gross, stop it, staff, however they engage, that folks will have a way and entry point to celebrate Pride at the Pride Parade. You could just do that on your own. Like if you wanted, you don't need to go as the school board. Of course, everyone was always welcome no matter what. Okay, that was the point I just made. But I'm glad that folks will feel as though the institution that they are a part of are being supported by that institution. And that was by Capital Pride Executive Director Callie Metler. I wonder if they're going to drag students off to this thing.
Right. I wonder too.
So in the first week of July, the school board initially said it would not participate in the Pride Parade because it falls outside of the school year. Fair enough, but why didn't that stop them every other year? The board later expanded on that explanation in an email to a concerned parent, saying the decision was driven by student safety concerns following disruptions at recent Capital Pride parades. Oh, it's people who don't like Pride that they don't want to expose the kids to, and not the naked men playing helicopter with their wieners on the streets before they embrace the prime minister. Anyway, I know.
Exactly.
Of course,
and like you said, Sheila, anyone that wants to go to a Pride Parade can go to a Pride Parade. You don't need to have an organization backing you if it's something that you truly believe in. I mean, this is just a bit rich.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to her feelings. Somebody's feelings were hurt that the Ottawa Carleton School Division Board wasn't going to be there. So the Karens had to complain. Right?
Yep. Hey, Olivia, before we do the chats and the cringe, one more thing. It's the defense team of CFB Esquimalt and Maritime Forces Pacific. So this is in BC. And you can see this video of members of the armed forces taking part in uniform at the Pride Parade. Look at this. Where do our young, best and brightest men sign up? Just, there's no, you know what? As Ezra always says, there's hope for husky men everywhere. Like I just saw someone's boiler go right past the camera.
That's right. Wow.
Oh, God.
Why is the Canadian military marching in a Pride Parade?
Yeah, who cares? I mean,
they should be marching, period. If you saw the video that came out like 2 weeks ago of them trying to do drills, and it was absolutely embarrassing. Perhaps the military should be staying on base, practicing their drills instead of marching in this.
Right. Prancing. They weren't even marching. They're prancing. They're dancing around with their flags and like going past his boiler was big like that. He looked like he was 8 months pregnant going. And so, you know, this is what we're serving up in the military.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, I feel better already. Safer already. I'm going to read these couple of chats. Michael Ep GM, because it's 10 euros. Okay. Why not follow that strand of thought and investigate? Even Honorable Ed Fast said the same, that the Winnipeg lab in Canada may be the place that contributed to COVID. I went there. I did a story there. I went and laid eyes on the lab. It would not be that difficult to get something out of there. But with no documents and the government not turning over the documents, if they won't produce them to the House of Commons, you think they're going to hand them over to me in ATIP?
Right. Yes.
So, I mean, I sort of went as far as I could on it. JP Alberta First gives us $10 and says, as far as the trial of the scientists that you were discussing, I hope the Crown pursues at least the same sentence they pursued for committing mischief. This country is cooked. Yeah, 10 years.
If only. If only.
If only. All right. This our cringe before we wrap the show. CBC fear porn. This is from CBC Watcher. So if you want to, let me make a recommendation for a follow if you're on X.
Yes.
CBC Watcher watches the CBC so you don't have to. It's a real public service, and clips out a lot of the crazy nonsense that CBC gets up to. And this is CBC fear porn on Manitoba heat wave. CBC gave 6 minutes to a climate adaptation advocate to blame cracked roads, hot nights, and extreme weather on man-made climate doom. The roads weren't designed for this. Time to adapt or else reality. It's really hot in Manitoba right now. I've got some views on cracked roads, but it's not what this climate adaptation specialist thinks.
A heat wave in southern Manitoba is causing streets to crack and crumble. It isn't the first time that heat has damaged Canadian infrastructure, and experts say that it won't be the last. And that's because the roads weren't designed for the extreme heat that we're now seeing. Experts, like our next guest, say policy needs to adapt to the changing climate, or else we'll see more costly damage to roads.
Got to throw more money at it.
Health. Annabella Bonata is Managing Director at the Intech Center on Climate Adaptation, and she joins us from Waterloo, Ontario. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Annabella. I want to start with this. So we're seeing extreme weather events surge across the country in recent years. How is climate change impacting this?
Climate change is having a big impact. So for every degree of warming, we know that the atmosphere can hold 7 to 8% more moisture. So when it comes to flooding or extreme precipitation, we're seeing all of that moisture come down in a shorter amount of time. Similarly, with heat waves, they're making heat waves, climate change is making heat waves longer, more intense, and they're actually warmer than they were in the past. So we're having many more heat waves across the country than we would have before climate change was an issue. And again, with wildfire, we're seeing the same thing. So climate change leads to longer seasons, it dries out vegetation, causes more drought. So there's a direct effect in the extreme weather that we're seeing across the country.
And Annabella, the Canadian Climate Institute points out that materials like steel, concrete, asphalt expand and then contract as temperatures shift. And we're seeing Ontario highways buckle, GO Transit trains forced to slow down due to extreme heat. How alarming is this to you?
I mean, as they mentioned, that's what that material is supposed to do, so it's expected. What's changing is the amount of temperature that we have. So the type of heat that we're seeing now, it's hitting records in some parts of the country. So when our railways were built or the type of asphalt that we have on the roads, it's not meant for this kind of climate. It's meant for a past climate. So as we move forward into the future and continue to experience these extremes, which will likely happen if we don't reduce our emissions in time, then we need to update our materials to withstand this kind of extreme heat that we're having.
Okay, and that's good. She's crazy.
That's wow.
Yeah, that's enough crazy. I do love the wear sunscreen, wear a hat, monitor the temperature inside your house in case you didn't notice that it was getting too hot. Find a cool place to be when you're outside. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
She simultaneously said that heat is causing the atmosphere to hold more water and then thus dump it on you, but also simultaneously making droughts. Which one is it, sister?
I caught that too.
Don't blame the potholes on the heat wave. You know what you need to blame the potholes on? Frost heaves. When the temperature swings wildly 80 degrees over the course of a year, as it does in Manitoba and in many parts of this country, including where I live, it will cause the frost to heave and then pop out your pavement. Pavement cracks in the cold. It buckles and heaves and melts in the heat. It actually is designed if you look on a bridge, there's a little rubber strip through a bridge usually, and that's because things contract when they're cold. and then expand when they get hot. The cracks are caused by frost heaves and a lack of public infrastructure upkeep, not climate change. Like, this is the dumbest news story, and CBC is just breathless. They're like, yes, wear your sunscreen. Beware the potholes.
Beware the potholes. It's literally just more fear porn. And honestly, Sheila, I feel bad for the people that are watching that and sucking it all up and actually believing this absolute nonsense. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's great if they want to, have more tax dollars thrown at whatever her name is there.
Yeah. I mean, the Canadian Climate Institute, which I think is taxpayer funded. All these things are. Sorry, I don't have to guess.
Of course.
I don't have to guess. I know they are.
Yeah.
But like simultaneously in 190-second run-on sentence said, heat is making the atmosphere hold more water. And so it's going to rain more, obviously, but also is causing a drought and the potholes. Yes. And please wear your sunscreen.
Yeah.
Thank you, CBC. I'm smarter already. I think that's the show for today. I think we have all the chats. We're a little bit over time, but we started a little bit late. Tamara, you're back with me tomorrow, right?
I am.
Yes.
I am back with you tomorrow.
Okay, great. So, we're hosting the Buffalo panel tomorrow. Yep. On Western issues, not necessarily independence, but a lot of that. Just a lot of that. So we'll be back tomorrow, myself and Tamara Lich, while my friend Lise is gallivanting with her children, which is obviously a better use of her time. It's a better use of everybody's time. Get out there with your kids. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Tamara, great job. Efron and or Olivia behind the board, thank you so much. Those of you who pitched in, thank you. Those who interact with our content, thank you too. That's an invaluable way of helping us. We'll see you back tomorrow. And if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.
I've got a big announcement. Rebel News Live is back this fall, and we're coming to 3 cities: Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto. Rebel News Live will be in Calgary on Saturday, October 31st at the Carriage House Hotel and Conference Center. Then we're heading to Vancouver on Saturday, November 14th, and then on to Toronto on Saturday, November 21st at Canada Christian College in Whitby. 3 cities, 3 incredible days, and I want to see you there. Now, if you've never been to one of our live events before, let me tell you what it's like, because I genuinely believe there's nothing else like it in Canada. We've been doing these gatherings for years, and every single time without fail, the thing people tell me afterwards, the thing they remember most isn't any particular speech, as good as the speeches are. It's the feeling in the room. It's walking in and realizing you are surrounded by hundreds of Canadians who think the way you think, who care about the things you care about, who've been watching the same stories you've been watching and asking the same questions you've been asking. People who have felt, frankly, a little bit alone in their communities and who suddenly realize they are not alone at all. That is what Rebel News Live is. It's a convention. It's a family reunion of sorts. It's a day where you get to be yourself completely without apology. And once you've experienced it, you keep coming back. Our attendees know what I mean. We have regulars. Now, who's going to be there this fall? I'll be there. Sheila Gunn Reid will be there. Tamara Lich will be there. And the Rebel News team will be joining us. Over the coming weeks, we'll be announcing some additional very special guest speakers. And trust me, you're going to want to hear who's coming. Stay tuned. Here's what the day looks like. Doors open at 8 in the morning with a light breakfast. Then a full slate of speeches and panel discussions. The kind of conversations you would never see on the CBC. Catered lunch. More speakers in the afternoon, and for VIP ticket holders, an exclusive dinner with me, Sheila, Tamara, and our guests at the end of the night. And in between all that, we've got a full merchandise store on site, Rebel News toques and hoodies and mugs and books. And yes, I will be there to sign them, and we'll have other sponsors and exhibitor booths from some of the best freedom-oriented businesses and organizations in the country, people you want to know about, causes worth supporting, and groups doing the real work on the issues that matter. It's worth showing up early to spend some time at those booths before the speeches begin. It's the best gathering of freedom-minded Canadians anywhere in the country. I've been saying that for years, and I keep saying it because it keeps being true. Now, I need to be straight with you about one thing. These events sell out every single year without exception. If you wait too long, you will not get in. I've seen it happen. I don't want it to happen to you. So here's what I need you to do right now. Go to rebelnewslive.com and get your tickets at the early bird price, because that price will not be around forever. Calgary on October 31st, Vancouver on November 14th, Toronto on November 21st. Pick your city, pick your date, and get your seats locked in before they're gone. There's nothing quite like spending a full day in a room full of Canadians who actually get it, people who've been watching, who've been following along, who are in this fight with us. I'll see you there. Go to rebelnewslive.com. Get your tickets at the early bird price before they sell out.